Right. All right, friends. Oh my goodness gracious. I am so glad that you are all here tonight. This is such a great topic that I think we're all really excited to talk about. And I think all of us agreed we could probably talk all day and night about this. And that's one reason that we're trying to do this. We're not trying, we are doing a monthly mindset class because it's so huge and it's so big and we can break it down into so many facets. So first let me just welcome you again and introduce who we are as a collective. You have just joined the YL Unstoppables here. We are five women who are joined and bonded at the heart through our love of personal development. And we all met through a coaching program by Melissa Pepping. Um, and we just became fast friends. And most of us, well, now I don't know. It's probably half because now Lene and Shelby have met, but most of us have never met in person before. And yet we speak every single day. So all that to say is where we are coming from tonight is from where we all came from together is our love and our appreciation of personal development and mindset, specifically our minds and how it controls everything. So, um, here's what I want you to uh, think about first. Um, let's just think, and if you have a piece of paper and you want to write it down, all the better, but just think for a minute. I want you to think about your big, hairy, audacious goal. Your big goal, like that biggest thing that if you could aspire to, if you could get it, like your life would be totally changed and transformed and you'd be in the best place possible, right? And when we think about that, we think about what makes your soul happy. And you don't allow your external situation right now to have anything to do with that goal, right? You're thinking, you're dreaming, dream big. Okay. So I want you to really think about that goal. And during the whole class tonight, I want you to continue thinking about that goal or those goals. You might have more than one. That's fine. Um, because what we want to do tonight is really push you and challenge you to find new ways to travel there and to get there because our norm and our go to gets in the way. And now here's another thing I want you to think about. Okay, you've got your goal, right? You've got your big goal. You see it. I want you to feel it. I want you to see yourself there, see who's around you, feel yourself what it feels like to be there, to be doing whatever you're doing, to be around whoever you're around. Really feel it. So this is a big thing, and we're going to talk a lot more about that in other modules that we do. Um, but where I want you to get to now is you see your goal, you have your goal, and who are you? Who are you when you get to be that? When you get to that goal, do you see yourself? Is that a different you than you are now? Because here's the thing, guys, we can only attract what we're in harmony with. We can only attract what we're in harmony with. So this was a huge thing for me because I'm an actress by trade. That's my past. That's my, who I am. So I am used to putting myself in other people's shoes. I can take on a character, right? Like that's what I do. When it came to myself, so I'm putting myself in this person. I'm seeing myself as this the person that I need to be, and I was even able to feel it, and yet I wasn't getting the results. Why? Does that happen to any of you? Right? Like we're really thinking we're doing the thing, and we're seeing the things, and we're feeling the things, and yet we're not moving forward. We're not getting the results that we want, and that's what we really want to talk about tonight. Because the main thing that gets in our way is our paradigm. So probably most of you have heard that word, but if you haven't, let's just break that down. What is a paradigm? So a paradigm is basically all of the thoughts and beliefs about ourselves that we live out in our daily lives. It's kind of like at our core what we believe about ourselves. Now here's the interesting thing though. Most of those thoughts come from other people and situations. They're not truly who we are. It's who we believe we are because we've been told. How many people, like you guys, I have a friend who is a doctor. She's smart as a whip. And yet, when she was in second grade, her math teacher told her she was horrible at math and she would never be anything. She was horrible at math. She couldn't do math, right? Her entire life, she believed she was horrible at math until finally one day when she was like in, I don't know, medical school or something, it dawned on her that she was darn good at math and she was rocking it. And she just finally had this breakthrough. She was like, "Gummit, that's not who I am." But I have believed in my entire life. I have lived out my entire life believing I'm not good at math, right? So we all have those things. Those are the paradigms. Those are the things that keep us from getting what we want because it gets in the way. So I want you to think about, I really want you, if you want to write it down, all the better, but I want you to really write down and be honest with yourself and just the first 10 characteristics that you think about yourself. Just think about who you are. Who do you see yourself as? If you were to introduce yourself to someone and just really expose yourself, say, "Hi, you know, I'm Sherry Hester. I'm a very responsible person. I'm always late. I, I tend to be disorganized. Like, what would you say about yourself?" And be really raw and honest, right? Now, here's the thing. What we need to do, those things that are negative, that's your paradigm and that's getting in your way. We gotta kick it to the curb. So what I encourage you to do is change all of those negatives to a positive. And that's your new character. And that's how you live out your life. Because remember, we only attract that which we're in harmony with. So if I'm in harmony with disorganization and chaos, even though I see myself as this incredible, like amazing, whatever I am, I'm going to stay in chaos. I'm not going to move past it. Right? So instead, like I am, I am full of, my life is orderly. I am rocking this world. I am responsible. I am showing up big. Whatever it is, that's who you are. And that's where you go. Um, Okay, I think I'm going to pass this on. The big thing that I want you to go through, and what's so beautiful is that each woman here tonight has something to share with you about their paradigm, and um, I do just want to tell a little story though. I'm just going to tell one story. Um, all of my life, so I've been a performer, right? But dancing was not my thing. I've studied dance all my life, but it just wasn't I didn't feel like it was my thing. I never felt enough. I never felt like I was enough, right? I would actually go to Broadway auditions. I mean, I'm probably going to get emotional here because I still haven't quite grasped this, but I would leave. I would leave the auditions because I felt like I couldn't do it. I would just give up. I would look at this and I'd learn it and then I go, crap, I can't do this. And I would leave. I would so give up and leave. Well, this is the ironic thing. So I come to Savannah, Georgia, which is where I'm living now. And the first job that I get here is a dance instructor. I laughed and laughed. I was like, hello, do you know me? Like, and they're like, yeah, we saw you dance. We see how you treat children. We want you to teach our children how to dance. Okay. My paradigm womped itself on its head. And all of a sudden, now in Savannah, I'm a dancer. I'm a dancer. It's hysterical. I talk to people who knew me back then, and they just think it's the coolest thing. They're like, thank goodness someone knocked some sense into your head. Something had to change. But I mean, your life can literally change because of the way you see yourself. And it's all awareness. And as long as we're like right now, right this very second, we're all aware. Congratulations. You are on your way because this is the first step, awareness. So now that you're aware, I'm going to pass this on to Shelby, who's going to talk to us more about what to do once we're aware.
All right. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love listening to all your stories. And it's like, I think I know you. And then I get to know you more. It's so crazy. My name is Shelby Corwin. I live in Oklahoma, in case y'all don't know. I'm so happy and grateful that you guys are all, like Sherry said, are aware. You're woke, right? You want to do better, you want to know better, and you're here for a reason. And so I'm so happy and grateful that I'm able to be a part of that journey with you. So how I started, like Sherry said, we all met through the coaching program with Melissa Pepe, and that just opened our world, opened our eyes, right? Literally opened our eyes and our minds to bigger and better things. And it's crazy because the mind wants to prove itself right. The mind wants to prove itself right. So what you think is what you get. Kind of like what Sherry said about being in harmony with your goals. So if your mind wants to prove itself right, and you're saying things like, I'm so fat, I'll always be fat, I have big bones, I have all the negative things, guess what? The results are in. You have big bones, you're fat, you're all the things, because your mind wants to prove itself right. So we need to be aware of what we're thinking. And for some reason, yes, Susie, I'm so tired. No, speak positivity, speak life, right? And so I don't know why we don't teach this to our kids when we're younger, but we don't, or we haven't, but we will, and we are, right? We're changing generations to come. We are aware. Okay. So what happened, how I got started real quick, is I was in a massage. So I'm a massage therapist. I was in a massage and I was seeing all these things about mentorship and how people were like, I have a mentor and I have a mentor. And I'm like, what the heck? I said, I wish I had a mentor. And I kid you not. And the thing that happens is like all this, when things start to come into fruition, you think you're like, this is woo woo. Or you're like, oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. Like, you hear terms like manifest or that's the term I usually use. We heard different things, like the red car theory, right? You think you want a red car and then all of a sudden you see red cars. Why? Because the brain wants to prove it's right. So your brain is actually looking for red cars. Like, you're not crazy. It's about awareness, right? The red car theory or manifestation. Okay. So I'm in a massage and I'm like, oh, I really want a mentor. And I was like, who would I want to be a mentor? Like, who do I really look up to? And at the time, nothing happens, without reason. Nothing happens like that. I literally, after my massage, opened up my Instagram. Okay. And I'm like, I love Melissa Pepping. Let's see what she has on her Instagram. And guess what? Apply for a mentorship program with Basics. Are you kidding me? Like, goosebumps right now. And I was like freaking out. I was emotionalizing with it. Like Sherry said, I was having feeling, right? So I'm not just thinking this, I'm having the feeling behind it. I instantly was like, oh my God, I'm going to be mentored by Melissa Pepping. I have to do this application. Oh my gosh. All the feeling went into it, right? Okay. Fast forward 2 years. Okay. 2 years, forever and always. I will always be working on myself. I will always be in awareness and working on myself. So that's how I got started. And then real quick, I'm going to talk to you guys about self-image, because like I've been talking and Sherry's talking, and we're all going to talk about it. You guys, repetition creates awareness. Okay. You think you don't need to hear stuff, but you do, because every time you hear something, you could watch the same video twice, 3 times, and you'll get something new out of it, because you're not the same person you were 5 minutes ago. Okay. You're not the same person you are. You're always learning, always growing. And like Sherry said, whatever you want to get out of tonight is what you're going to get out of it. So I love that she had us write down our goals and, really be open to learning. Okay. So if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. The end. The end. I mean, think about the marvelous mind, the placebo effect. Hey, Henry, just a second. Okay. I'm on a Zoom call. Just 1 second. It's a Nisha nitro. Go get your Nisha. Go. The placebo effect. Okay. Giving the pill, the real medication, and the not. And what happens? Think about the marvelous mind with that. If you were to wake up in a coma today and someone told you that you were an ex-Marine military person and you had no memory of who you were, you would become that person because your mind would tell yourself that's who you are and that's who you would become. Okay, so I want you guys to make sure you write all of this stuff down. Okay, so writing is very important. I'm going to read something. This is by Leland Val Van D. Wall. Okay, writing causes thinking. Okay, writing causes thinking. Thinking creates an image. Okay, image controls feelings. Feelings create actions. Actions create results. Okay, so when we're writing down our self-image, we're not just going to say this in our heads. We're actually going to write it down because, like Sherry had us write down the top 10 things we think about ourselves. Do you even know what you think about yourselves? Are you even truly thinking? Okay, so when I first got started, let me check the time. Okay. When I first got started, y'all, I was not thinking. I was not truly thinking. My mind was controlled by the outside world. What it's like, oh, something's hot. Oh, that is hot. I'm cooking. And that's where my thought went. Oh, the beautiful sunset. And then my mind was this. We should have in our forefront of our mind all the time our goals. Where are we going? What are we thinking about? Okay. So we're going to write down, like Sherry said, write down your 10 things to think about yourself. Turn those negatives into a positive, right? We don't want our mind to prove ourselves right if it's all negative, okay? So we're going to write them down, and you're going to write down who you are in the future. Like Sherry said, who are you in the future? I am, for me, I am a Royal Crown Diamond with Young Living, okay? I actually took the Proverbs 31 woman and turned that into like an I am statement. So like I am a strong woman who puts God's wisdom into action in my life. You can do this, whatever it is for you. I am fit and strong like Lene. Whatever it is, write it down and then put it in. I encourage you guys to have a notebook. I have a dream book. I'm going to show you guys. Okay. I have a dream book. It is just a folder from Walmart, probably $1. Okay, a piece of paper that my kids scribbled on, and it says Dream Book. In this book, I have clear little leaf, clear things or sheet things, and I just write on a notebook, piece of paper of all my stuff. I am the leader of an opulent, self-reliant Royal Crown Diamond team, right? All the things. We write it down and you keep it and you date it. You keep it and you date it because you are going places, friend, and you're going to want to look back and you're going to want to see how far you've come, and you're going to need a telescope. Okay, you're gonna need a telescope to see how far you have truly come. Okay, so self-image statement, write it down. You are, so I am all the things. Put it in a notebook, read it every single day, have emotion. Now if I sit here and say I am nurturing, I am a safe place, no, friends, you have to have emotion. I'm going to read this one more time. Writing causes thinking. Writing causes thinking. Are you truly thinking? What are you thinking? Make sure it's positive. Write it down. Writing causes thinking. Thinking creates an image. What are you seeing? Like Sherry said, what are you seeing? Who is that future self? Who is that person that's locked up inside of you that you were told that you could never be, but you are, because God gave you a dream in your heart, and you're going to hold that dream that's in your heart in your hand. Why? Because God gave that to you. Why? Because it's yours. Why? Because that's what we're going to focus on. Okay. So thinking creates an image. Think it, write it down, think it, and then image controls feeling. So if you're imagining it, look at Sherry. She started crying at a drop of a hat because it was so real for her, right? And that can be in our minds too. So thinking creates an image controls feeling causes action. Okay, so you're feeling it. And if you're feeling like a Royal Crown Diamond team, then guess what you're going to do? You're going to treat them like a Royal Crown Diamond team. You're going to attract those people that want to be a part of your team. People are going to come out to me. They're going to come and find me because they know that they want to be a part of my team. Okay, feelings cause actions. Actions create results. Results are in. Okay, results are in. If you don't like your current results that are in, then you need to start thinking about your thoughts, because thoughts are things. Okay, thoughts are things. And so I'm going to actually pass it to Lene, I believe. Is that correct? Nope, not Lene. Susie.
Where's Susie? Where's Susie?
Susie.
it's really hard to follow Shelby. Shelby's got like, I love your energy, Shelby. My name is Susie Andrade. I am still getting used to that one. So I still go by Susie Furkey on so many things. But yes, I am the same person, regardless of the name. I am still me. But I wanted to jump in here and share a little bit about, okay, so we know what a paradigm is, and we know that we can change our paradigm by seeing ourselves in the future from what we want to accomplish, right? We set our goals, we write a self-image statement to identify or to mirror that goal that we're getting to. But I want to talk to you about something pretty powerful that you need to be aware of when you're dealing with paradigms, right? This awareness thing, because it's powerful. Our brains are very powerful. So everybody, I want you to do this, whether you have your video on or not, it's fine. But I just want you to cross your arms very carefully. Okay, just cross them and feel what that feels like. Feels comfortable, not a big deal. We do this a lot, right? When we're waiting in line, when we're cold, whatever. Now flip your arms so that I can't even, like, the one that's on top is now on the bottom, right? Flip that. How does that feel? That feels weird. It feels uncomfortable, right? But I want you to understand that that's a physical representation of what your brain does. Because your brain, from all those paradigms, from your childhood, from your birth, from the day you came out of your mama until today, all of those paradigms have made little neural pathways in your brain. Your brain is focused on being comfortable. You want a routine. You want what's comfortable. So no matter what, you're going to fall back into that routine, right? So case in point, how many of us have been on our errands and have driven from our homes to the mailbox, to drop the kids at school, to our jobs? What happens? We get to our job and we're like, holy crap, how did I get here? Like, what road did I take? Like, you don't remember stopping at stoplights. You don't remember the turn that you made. You don't remember that is how routine our lives are. Like, our brain can work without us knowing it. So the powerful part is learning about the 6 higher faculties that we can tap into that God blessed us with. Animals do not have these things. He blessed people with this, or the universe, wherever your belief system is. I don't judge, whatever. To me, God blessed me with 6 higher faculties. And they're spelled out by the acronym WIMPER, WIMPIR. Okay, I want you to be aware of this, because these are things you can tap into every day, and you can just take that as a little love note from God himself, saying, here you go, I'm helping you out here because I'm saving you from yourself. So you can just bust through all these paradigms, right? So W is will. This is your focus. This is your willpower, right? I is imagination. God gave us a beautiful imagination. We can imagine things in our minds. Remember when you were laying on the grass as a kid and you would look up at the clouds and imagine that the clouds look like something? I did this all the time at my grandparents' farm. It's one of my best memories that I have. But imagination is powerful because you can actually create your reality in the future. You can actually see where you're going through that, okay? M is memory. So you can tap into a memory that you once had, right? And then spin it to something you want to recreate in the future. P is perception, and this one is very powerful. This is very powerful. You can change your own perspective, your own perception of who you are. And I'm going to give you an example of that in a second. The other I is intuition. This is your center. This is your gut. This is where your reactions come from. And your R is reasoning, putting it all together, right? WIMPIR. Whimper. You can remember it that way. If you are very aware that you have lost control and your mind is going in a place you don't want it to, If you remember nothing else, remember whimper, because those are the tools that you're going to need to get your mind back where you want it to be. So I'm going to play this out for you in my own life, and I'm going to explain a couple of paradigms I had that I'm busting through. One is I had this belief that I needed to go to school, get a job for 40 years, retire from that job, collect a pension, and just enjoy my last 20 years of life. I know that's not my reality. That's not the reality I want. That's the reality that I saw all the way around me. That was a current circumstance, but that is not where I'm going. I am creating things. I am an entrepreneur. I am creating systems and tools to help others because I have a different idea of what my purpose here is on earth. So, with knowing that I don't need that job, but I'm still at that job, like this isn't what I want to do, but this is what I'm doing right now. So, what do we do in that case, right? Well, you become very grateful for what you have. That's where gratitude comes in. That's where journaling comes in. Tammy's going to talk a little bit about that. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but you can perceive it different. So instead of saying, I have to go to work, you say, I get to go to work because you're making the choice to go to work. Okay. My life, when people say, you know what, my life isn't going the way that I want it to, life does not happen to you, it happens for you. And with that, I will tell you one of the hardest paradigms that I had to get over is my weight. So I held on to the fact that I was just going to be an overweight person. That's just who I was. You know why? Because I was told when I was little that I was big boned. So it gave me the approval. It gave me the approval to say, you know what? It's okay. It's okay to carry a little extra weight on you. You're fine. And I know that now. I know I have become very aware. I have worked through a lot of things and I lost 33 inches for my wedding because I told myself that I am not overweight. I am perfect. I am active. I am fit and I am healthy. That's an affirmation that when I say it, I'm supposed to say it every day. But when I say it, it's all awareness, right? It's all awareness. When I say it, I actually eat better. I actually want to move my body because I'm proclaiming to the universe that I am active, I am fit, and I am healthy. How can I say those things if I'm not actually doing them? So when you say it, your brain wants to make it come true, right? And it comes full circle to what Shelby was just telling us. And with my fitness journey, I'm going to pass it off to Lene, and she's going to talk to us about her fitness journey.
Hello, hello. My name's Lene. I have had quite the fitness journey. So I started Young Living 7.5 years ago. No idea that I would be where I am today, working on what I'm working on. So it's really incredible to have. I started working on mindset April of 2018, and um, t- took 2 sessions, took a year off, and then realized I need this all the time because the positivity that I gain from it, the friendships, the why unstoppables that have come from this has been life changing. And so for that, I am forever grateful. But as far as paradigms, I kind of always had this mindset paradigm that I came from a family of people that loved food, still love food. My mom was heavier set. My aunt on my dad's side is heavier set. My grandma. So I was like, kind of like what Susie just shared. It's the way I was born, right? This is who I am. I claimed no on that one. Like, absolutely not. That is not who I am. So I decided quite a few years ago, actually, it was back in 2005, that I was not going to succumb to the family history of heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes runs rampant in my family. And so I made a decision back then that I was going to do something about my health. And I did. And I was like, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to lose weight. Well, guess what happens when you lose something? what happens? Our minds, our bodies are programmed to do whatever we can to find it. When we lose something, we want to get it back. We don't like losing stuff, right? So I gained all the weight back and then some, right? And so it wasn't until about, it's almost 3 years ago, that I had a complete shift in how I thought about myself. And that is why I am in the shape that I am. Yes, I have guns. Welcome to the show. Okay. And what stuck out to me then was because I was already in the mindset training. So I was learning the things that I needed to learn to put my mind in a place that I knew I desired to go. And so I found things out about my health that I was like, nope, that's not who I am. I'm going to change that. And I started picturing in my head this most amazing fit body that was just like, something I just look, that's somebody I look up to. That's a body that I desire. Like, that's me. And guess what? I'm in really good shape now. I have a fit body. And so for that, I am thankful. One of the things you have to do, no matter what your goal is, whether it's a health goal, a fitness goal, a business goal, or a family goal, whatever goal it is, like we have said before, you have to get that picture so vivid in your mind. And so for me, it was super easy in the sense of picturing my ideal body. And then I did those steps to put me into that place. Well, so now I'm translating that into my business, my Young Living business. And I asked this question of Melissa Pepping last week, like, why is it so easy for me to create a fitness goal and achieve it, yet I can't create, or I can create a business goal, but why am I not achieving it? So I want to show you something, and it has to do, Shelby touched on it a little bit. Part of it is because of my background, because of the people I grew up around. Faith is a huge part for me. Like, that's a huge part of my life. And in the home that I grew up in, it was a very loving, like Christ-loving home. I know I was loved. I still feel loved by my family. And the church was very conservative, and what I felt the mindset to be of that environment was, anytime you have something, you need to give it. So if you earn a ton of money, how dare you have a really nice car? Because that money can be used to help somebody else or whatever it is. And so for me, when it comes to business, I had this fear of success, because what are the people in my life, my family, my, the home that I grew up in, the church family that I grew up in, what are they going to think if I eventually become this wealthy person because of this job? And so that is what has stunted unknowingly. That's my paradigm, and I'm still working through that. And for me, fitness, it was my choice, my decision. It's all the work is on me. I got help, I got the trainer, but it was me that did the work. And when it comes to my business, I was starting to allow the outside influences to dictate my success. That's that's a big no, okay? So, and this is, I don't know if you can see. Okay, here, can you see this? I wore this tank top for a reason tonight, okay? This is the stick man. This is what kind of drew us all together. Think, believe, do. And when Shelby was talking about the writing, the thinking, the image, the feeling, the action, this falls right in line with the stick man. So I'm going to put this up. You see these things on top. Those are like telephone poles. Those are all, telephone poles carry information, right? The utility lines carry information. And those are the outside influences, the incidentals that come in. And that's what causes us to think something, our conscious mind. So that's where we think. I'm just going to show this one. And then when we emotionalize with that thought, that's what we believe. Our beliefs are what drive us into action. And that's when we do something based off of our belief. And then we get a certain result. So when it comes to my business goals, I have to reverse that process and figure out what is the result that I got. Is it what I wanted? No. I didn't have the growth that I wanted to so far this month. Okay, so what was the action that I took? Well, I did some classes. I reached out to a couple people. Okay, well, what was your belief behind that? Oh, there's going to be some people that don't want to hear what I have to say. Well, what made you think that? Oh, some other people years ago said something. They don't like MLMs and they don't want to have to, listen to what, I don't know anything or whatever it is. And then what were the thoughts that put that, or what were the things that put that thought into your mind? So you can always work it back and come up with, oh, okay, now what needs to change? Maybe that you realize, okay, cancel the outside influences because you have charge of your own thoughts. You can think for yourself, believe it or not. You don't have to believe everything everybody else says. Think for yourself and then decide, is that important to me? And then emotionalize with that. And then that's what puts you into action. And that's what will drive the results that you desire. So go back to the beginning every time and rework that, and you will get to the results that you desire, like I said. So I could say more, but I'm going to pass it off to Tammy.
Oh, I have been studying this stuff for 2.5 years, and just the way that Lene delivered it, I reached a new awareness. So thank you for that, Lene. I can't wait for this replay because I need to take notes while I was just listening and emotionalizing. So my personal development story, my name is Tammy Long. I live in Northern Wisconsin. Been using Young Living since 2014. My personal development story actually began after my first Young Living conference. It was the summer of 2018. And I heard like Mel Robbins and Eric Worre. I heard some really, really powerful speakers. And I thought, you know what? I was just so inspired. I came home, and on that plane on the way home, the girl that I was traveling with, I'm like, you know what? I think there really is something to be said about this personal development stuff, because I will tell you, for the first 46 years of my life, I thought it was hokey. You know what? All that woo-woo, I did not believe in it. Something sparked me between those two speakers. And I'm like, you know what? There has to be something to this, because I was so inspired. And I took notes like all the way home about all of the things that I was going to do when I got home. And one of the things that I really started doing is paying attention to some of the other people that I was hanging around. And I knew the kind of books that people were reading, and I knew the kind of podcasts because I'd ask them. And I could see shifts and changes in some of my friends that were doing this personal development. So I thought, okay, I'll just find out what books they're reading. I'll find out what podcasts they're listening to. And I can just do this on my own. I got this. So I read a few books. I started reading a few books. I will be very honest with you. I switched to audiobooks because I am in the car a lot, and the audiobooks, to have somebody read it with feeling and emphasis, that just resonates with me better. And I can listen to a whole book in like 2 trips back and forth to work most times. So, listen to podcasts. I followed a couple different people on Instagram. And I thought I had it all figured out. Well, I found out that that was actually just the beginning. That was like the prefix to my story. Paradigms, that's what we're talking about tonight. Some of the paradigms that I grew up with are thinking that everybody just has debt. Debt is a fact of life. You live paycheck to paycheck because that's what happens. You work hard, you save your pennies and maybe get to take a family vacation. But there's not not a lot of leftover for retirement. There's not a lot of extra just because we are barely struggling to get by. We live paycheck to paycheck and we have to plan for extra things. And if an emergency comes up, I don't know if we're going to be able to cover it because that's just the way I grew up. I grew up with a scarcity mindset. And it's nobody's fault. It just is because we only know what we know until we know better. So I grew up hearing things like, you need to be grateful for what you have. Don't expect any extras. Money goes to money. And I never realized how true that statement was. Money does go to money because we attract the energy that we are putting out there. So I was put on this earth to do something more than just get by. And it was through this training that I figured that out. I now know that those words that I used to hear were only true because I believed they were true. Now that I know different, I can change my story. I can change the outcome of what I'm doing and what my family is doing. It is okay to be extremely grateful for everything that I have, for all of the blessings in my life. And it's still okay to want more because me wanting more does not take anything away from anybody else. It's infinite. It's infinite. So in early 2019, when I kind of thought I had this personal development thing figured out, I had a better outlook on life. I was attracting more positive people around. I mean, I felt like a ray of sunshine, right? And I'm attracting all these fun, bright, positive people. And then I heard about the Iconic event. And so from where I live, it's less than a 3-hour drive. And I thought, okay, I am seeing this for a reason. I'm gonna call and see if there's hotel rooms before I even get a ticket. I'm gonna call and see if they still have hotel rooms. Well, they had hotel rooms, and they had a ticket, and everything was in my budget, and I could drive there because it was less than 3 hours away, and the timing just worked out. I didn't have any vendor events or anything. I do a lot of vendor events. There was nothing on my schedule for the weekend of that event. Everything just lined up. So I felt like, this is meant to be. I need to go. And I haven't shared this with my team. And if they watch the replay, I'm just going to lay it out there. I did not want to go with anybody. That was about the time that I kind of started feeling like I didn't fit in anywhere. I felt like I didn't connect with anybody on my team. I didn't feel like I connected with a lot of the friends that I had in my inner circle. And when I went to that event, I started to see why I didn't feel like I fit in. I was doing the work. I was changing my mindset without even knowing it. And so if everybody's not doing the work at the same time, you are not all changing at the same time, you are not all having the same experiences. This is why you feel a change in the energy. And that's why I was not fitting in where I was before. My old comfort zone, I didn't want to be there anymore. And those old circles were my comfort zone. Growth does not happen in your comfort zone. It happens just outside your comfort zone and a little bit further. So, and when I went there, I was pleasantly surprised because there were some other people that I knew that were there. But when I showed up to check in, I found out that we had assigned tables. So she didn't actually assign seats, but there were like 8 or 10 seats at a table, and we had a table number. She did not want people like running in to claim a seat. Everything was just low key and relaxed. And I thought, you know what, this is absolutely perfect because I bought my ticket by myself. So I did not know a soul at my table. I was able to go there with absolutely zero expectations, with a wide open mind, and just ready to soak in anything that I could learn from that event. I didn't have anybody sitting around me to distract me. I could just focus on everything and pull what I needed to pull out of that event. I met a girl there who I still keep in touch with, who actually talked to me about basics. And I'm like, I don't really think I need that. Well, by the end of the weekend, I knew that I wanted more of everything that I was learning at this event. It was like basics on steroids, basically. and I've been in it ever since. So April of 2019. And I just knew that it's the same thing over and over and over again. But like Lene said, when you go through the 6 weeks, you come out a different person. And then when you start at the beginning of that again, you come from a different level of awareness, and you pick different things out based on what you are looking to learn. I set a different intention each season, and I come out with different information. So I had to keep notes so that I stay on task. I'm sorry. So one of the biggest hurdles through my personal development journey was that I never set goals. I made it through 46 years without setting goals. I was my class valedictorian, never set a goal to do that. I just showed up, and I knew that if I worked hard, I would be rewarded. That you work hard and you get the things that you want in life. I didn't set a goal to do X, Y, and Z. I just thought, you know what, you show up, you do the work, and good things will happen. So I want you to think about when a farmer is plowing a field. Does he like look down at his tires and see where no, he actually has to focus on something in the horizon so that his rows are nice and straight with that tractor, right? He has to know where he's going so that his rows of corn all show up nice and even. If you ever seen that going down the highway, you see the nice even rows of everything. And that's because the farmer has a plan. The farmer knows where he's going. If you don't set a goal, you don't know where you're going, and you're not going to know when you get there because you haven't set the goal. So I had always thought, you know what? I have a pretty amazing life. Does it get better than this? I don't need to set goals. And I will tell you, now that I am learning, I will not say that I have learned. I will say that I am learning, because it is like a new language. I have not set big enough goals because I have not found exactly the thing that makes me want to jump out of bed in the morning. I have found things that excite me. I have found things that I would like to do. As you reach an awareness, as you reach a goal, another one is realized. And I think I am right on the verge of what my next biggest goal is going to be, because right now it feels like, okay, I've accomplished this, and I haven't found that next big scary goal yet. So that is my next task to do. And I know these ladies are going to help me on that journey. I believe it was Shelby that said this: she who believes she can and she who believes she can't are both usually correct. So if you believe that you're going to do something, and you really, really believe that you're going to do it, you're going to do it. Nothing's going to get in your way. Make it non-negotiable. Figure out what you want, make it non-negotiable, and then put the steps into motion to get you from point A to point B. Like with Lene, with her fitness journey, show up every day, go to the gym, healthy food. Is cheesecake going to get me closer to that goal? Probably not. Then maybe I'm not going to have that cheesecake. But if you don't have that goal, that cheesecake is going to sound pretty tasty. So I also realized about that time that the people that I held in my inner circle had a huge impact on my thoughts. Think about when you are in a crowd of people who are negative and they're cranky and they gossip, and how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel good? Now flip that and think, how does it feel to be around positive, sunny, bubbly, people like Shelby, people who just, they have confidence and they're nice to people and they're generous, and they actually want to lift up the other people around them. How does that make you feel? I know which group that I would rather hang around with, because I feel better when I am around that energy. That is a higher frequency, and that is where I want to be. Think about it this way. If you've ever known a child, I know a handful of children who actually have been adopted from foreign countries. And when their new parents bring them back to the United States, they speak a different language. They have a different culture. They have all kinds of stuff. So they come here and they learn how to speak our language. and some of them keep their old language. This is just for the children that I know. They have to learn how to speak a new language. They learn how to eat what the family eats. They learn and often adopt the values that the family has. They wear different clothes. They hang around different people. So think about the people that you hang around have a greater impact on you than the genes that you are born with. Let that one sink in. So I want you, let's see. So together with my co-hosts, as several people have said, we form the YL Unstoppables. I am so incredibly happy and grateful for all of you ladies. I know that I would not be where I am today because what we do with each other is we study this personal development. And then this group kind of formed because you need to act on what you're learning. You can't just learn it and then just keep it all in here. You actually have to apply what you're learning. And that's where finding like-minded people comes into play. You actually get to learn this new language, but then you get to start speaking this new language and you get to start acting in a different way because you have other people to kind of help you as you're learning all of this new stuff and these higher faculties. And it's such an incredible experience. I wish everybody can have the same experience that we have had. So I'm going to give you a couple of activities to kind of get you started. And the first thing, I think Sherry talked about it earlier, is to set your big, scary goal. I think she called it something else. I call it the big, scary goal. And I want you to write it down on a card. I actually have a card that I carry around with me. On the back of this card, it says, your greatest success can only be matched by your greatest desire. That is a Melissa Pepin quote. And then on the back, you write your goal. So whatever your goal is, and you have to put a time on it. Give it a date and give it a goal. And then I want you to read that twice a day, every single day. Like when you get up and then right before you go to bed is usually when I take a look at that. I'm focused on it and don't have a lot of distractions. So twice a day for 30 days and emotionalize with what is on that paper. So if you don't currently have your goal, it is most likely because there are two things holding you back. It is either your perception or your lack of awareness. So I'm going to give you some tools to help you focus on your goal. And the one is really, really easy. The first thing you can do is, I don't have candles in my house anymore, but I know that you can picture the image of like a flickering candle flame. If you put that candle across the room, I live in a log house, so I have lots of knots on my wood, and I pick out a knot on the wood and I stare at that. And at first, you're not going to be able to hold the focus for very long. You're going to start thinking of other things. Other thoughts are going to jump into your brain. Stop that exercise and then pick it up again later. Focus on that knot or that flickering candle until you can block out all the other distractions. Bob Proctor is a lot of who we study. He has said that he can write a novel on a subway because his focus is that intense. I will be very honest to tell you, mine's not there yet. I'm working on it. Another exercise that works great for focus, and it actually helps engage both sides of the brain, is writing with your opposite hand. I am painfully right-handed. So I like to do it with like really colorful markers and start by just signing your name. So grab a piece of paper and grab a fun marker and sign your name with your opposite hand. Okay. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but practice that like 30 times a day. Because that, like I said, it makes you cross hemispheres of your brain, which will help engage your creativity. And it also is a lesson in focus. And by the end of 30 days, you're going to have a hard time distinguishing. You're going to be able to read your signature, and you're going to have a hard time distinguishing which hand you wrote it with, because it will improve. Another thing that you can do is after you have written your name, and if that gets boring, I started incorporating gratitude journaling that way. So I don't actually keep a journal because I do it with my opposite hand. I have friends that have pages upon pages and journal upon journal of just waking up in the morning, either, and this is a good exercise, either right when you get up or right before you go to bed, because it's like you're kind of in that transition between waking up and going to sleep. But just think about, I like to do it in the evenings because my mornings are very, very rushed. And like right before I go to bed, I just think about, okay, I have to do it in odd numbers. So it's either 3, 5, 7, whatever it is. I just start thinking about, okay, what are some of the things that I am grateful for today? And write that out. And if you do it with your left hand, you're accomplishing two things at once. You are coming from a place of gratitude, because it's really hard to be in a bad mood when you are coming from a place of gratitude, when you are appreciating the positives that you see in life instead of focusing on the negative. So if you use your opposite hand and you start writing those things out and try to challenge yourself, not to write the same things down every day. Find some nuance. Some, like my son just joined cross country. And so yesterday I was grateful that he had a great day at cross country. And today I was grateful that, you know what, he went back, he found friends, and he actually came home and said, wow, I had a lot of fun. So think about, even though it was still kind of the same thing, it's a little bit different. It pushes a little bit further. So, I mean, I'm always grateful for my family. I'm always grateful for my home. I'm always grateful for the things that I have in my life, but try to get creative with it. So it's not always the same things. Find little spots in your day where you can pick out that, you know what, that was a little extra special. So 2 things to think about. My spiritual DNA is perfect, and that perfection seeks expression with and through me. We will type that in the group. We'll throw it in the group. And all there ever was or ever will be is within me. There's nothing that I need. I've already got it. So I will put those 2 things in the group because I think those are very, very powerful. And if you wanted to just write those things up with your left hand, you could do that too. Because as Shelby says, when you write it down, you think about it, you emotionalize it with it, and you believe. Your brain will start to believe. And like Sherry said, with the actor's technique, you basically are fooling your brain at the beginning to believe what you want out of life. And if you come from a place of, you know what, I already have the things that I want, it's going to be a lot easier to get there. It's going to be a lot easier to reach your goals. So I think that's all I have. And we will open it up for questions or comments or anything anybody else would like to contribute.
Hey, I wanted to share one more thing. Okay, so this is a personal experience, real life happening, live action. Okay, so you know how I was telling you guys how to write stuff down? Okay, I'm going to tell you what I wrote down and I read to myself every single day with emotion and feeling. And in 2 months, it came true. Okay, and it's so funny because nothing happens in coincidence. Okay, here we go. So every day I read this, okay, and I would read it to a friend and I would get giggly, right? Because this is true. This is my future memory. This is true. And at the top, and I dated it, make sure you date everything, but I wrote, my man. I says, I live in harmony with the sexiest and kindest man alive. He loves to live holistic and uses oils. You guys, all this is true. I'm going to tell you right now, everything that I'm about to read to you, he does. He's never smelt an oil, didn't use oils. Now he does, right? He loves to cook for me. He is a giant cuddly teddy bear. Now I will tell you, be careful of your language because that is what he is. In the past, I've always been attracted to thinner types, but you know what? He's a giant cuddly teddy bear, and that's what I wrote, and that's what I got, and I love him for that. He's thoughtful with small details, like, am I fasting or am I not? And this is the kind of thing I'm telling you this for. I'm not just reading this to brag. I'm reading this to give you an example. Get into the nitty gritty. Because you guys, he does. I do intermittent fasting, and he'd be like, oh, try this. He's like, oh, wait, are you fasting? But don't break your fast. what the heck, right? What the heck? He and I work out together. That's actually what we like spurred up, or that's actually what got us together. He works on himself for our family and himself. He listens and communicates. His love language is touch and quality time. Guess what his love language is? We took the quiz. I'm a quiz girl. So I'm like, hi, how are you? Take this quiz. Okay. So it's touch and quality time. And I mean, I could go on and on and on. Everything, everything on that list, except for a few things. My brain wants to prove itself right. I read it every day for 2 months. And the way we met is random. You know, I mean, nothing's random or whatever. So I just want to encourage you guys, get down to the detail, write it down, emotionalize. What are you thinking? Positive or negative? Are the results in? Yeah. Are they what you want? No. Think backwards, like Lene said, right? So I just wanted to share that because I love sharing that because it's true and it makes me giggle.
Feel free to unmute yourself. Like, what stuck out to you tonight? A lot was said, so I hope you took notes. And if you want the replay, reach out to the person who invited you, and we can get you the replay so you can keep going over it. Because, like we said, repetition creates awareness. So, what stuck out to you guys?
So I want to remind everybody, just before I forget, we have another class next Tuesday night at same time, so 7:30 Central, and you do the conversion. I have people in 4 time zones, so 7:30 Central, and that is what's new. And what we do with that class is whatever happens to be new since the last time we had a what's new class. So we'll probably be talking about the website, maybe a little bit about the comp plan, just some of the upgrades with the shopping platform. So if you have questions about that, or if you have other friends who are customers or members that have questions, have them come to that class. And if we don't know the answers to their questions, we will help them find the answers.
And I would really like somebody to talk about divine destiny in that class, because I've heard so much about that. I don't know. But the one thing I did want to say about goals, because to me, goals were daunting. Like every time my upline would say, hey, what's your goals? And I was like, because they just seem like, oh, you need to have it in concrete and you need to be, and if you don't do it, but the one thing that I wanted to share about goals is it is nothing but a to-do list with a deadline. That is it. We have to-do lists every single day. Everybody has a to-do list. And some things like cleaning my closet out or cleaning the stove, the oven, whatever, the thing that scares me, that might have a later deadline, but it still needs to go on our goal list, right? So we're just asking, if you're going to set the goal, just take those, if you're going to have a to-do list, take those items every week and get something done towards that goal. And that's what I'm working on in another group that I have, is let's set some goals and let's get you to the point where you can actually start attaining those, no matter how big or how small they are. So we set goals on Monday, we do a checkup on Wednesday, and then Friday we report and we celebrate what we've done. Or maybe just address what we haven't done and just become aware of what set us to the point where we got nowhere with them. So it's just a good practice to get into, to set a deadline on your to-do list.
I would love to hear, and if not here and now, if you want to post in the group later, because like I said at the beginning, we are doing Mindset Matters classes every single month. Now, granted, we do have a list of things that we would love to share with you and bring to you, but we also want to know what you're interested in, and maybe some things that you would like, more help with, or that you can help us with, just because there's so many things that contribute to our mindset. So we just want to be here to support you and encourage you. And if there's anything particular that you'd like us to discuss, we would love to know that. That would help us.
If not, we have reached the end of our class. And if you guys have questions and you just didn't want to speak up, you can send us a message either individually or at the YL Unstoppables. A book or podcast series. Okay. I'll write that down because we actually have several books that we study from. Yeah, but we also have several podcasts too. Susie, go ahead.
The only thing I was going to say about that is when you get your list, and you'll have a list, we all of us love to share our lists of books and podcasts and what we've been affected by. But when you have it, I would like to encourage you to at least set a timer for how long you're going to work on it every day, whatever you think that's going to be, because mindset is so important. And what I've noticed is when I don't do my mind work that day, my day doesn't go quite as planned. Something happens and I can always attribute it to not doing the work and not having my mind right before I started my day. So I would encourage you to take whatever, the video, the podcast, whatever, and just set a timer for however long you can do it that day, whether it's 5 minutes or 5 pages. That's perfect. Whatever you can do to allow yourself to work on your mindset every day.
And a lot of the books that we are reading, we don't actually read, we study. So we will study the same chapter for 30 days, or we will even break it down to like a concept or an idea. And maybe just be a page or 2 pages, or sometimes a paragraph, and just pick that apart and then discuss it amongst us. Like, what does that mean? How do we fit that into what's going on? Susie, I think I got this idea from you that read your personal development book until you get an idea, and then act on the idea.
Yeah, I forget who shared that. I think it was Jessie Lee Ward actually that shared that. She said, don't read for a set amount of time or a set amount of pages. Read until you get a spark, until something affects you, until you get a little, okay. And then she said, don't hold it to yourself, share it with someone, because who knows who you're going to ignite by your spark.
Well, if nobody has any other questions, I think we're going to sign off. And thank you all so much for joining us. And I hope to see you. The 3rd Tuesday of every month will be a different mindset topic. So if you have something that you would like to discuss, otherwise we will come up with something, because this is something that mindset is like working out. You don't just work out one time and have the guns like Lene. You have to do this stuff every day. You have to do this stuff regularly, because as your mind grows, you need to keep exercising it so that you can keep expanding and keep learning new things and keep coming to new levels of awareness. So have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.